Hello, everyone. This is the 818 and Conversate Podcast, and I'm your host, Nadine of 818 Events. Every episode is going to feel like a spontaneous road trip with your closest friends. Bring your luggage because we'll be unpacking everything, all the real shit. I'm going to be joined by an awesome passenger every now and then, and who knows, we might even pick up a hitchhiker along the way. So picture this, you're vibing, spilling the tea, storytelling, reminiscing, manifesting even. There might be a little detour of controversy here and there, so we might have to pump the brakes when shit gets too real. But it will always be a good-ass conversation, and it will be the road trip that you don't want to end. Episodes drop the 8th and 18th of every month, so in the spirit of a dope road trip, grab your travel snacks, crank the volume, hop in the whip, and let's ride. That DJ drop is literally on every mixtape I've ever had besides the late night R&B mixtapes.
Facts.
I'm so excited. I'm trying not to keep smiling. I'm actually trying to speak instead of smile. This is the first episode of 818 and Conversate, and it's been a long time coming. So I'm really excited to be doing this and to have you guys listening. So thank you so much for joining. Before we get started, I just want to let you guys know this entire time on every podcast, I will likely be drinking this tea. It is called Electric Tea, and this is my Sweeter Ting blend. I have a Sweeter Ting with me at all times. So that's what I'll be drinking this time.
Sweeter Ting. How much more Sweeter Ting do you need?
I mean, I have a Sweeter Ting here with me, but that's my side Sweeter Ting. That's my side ting. But that's the Electric Tea, so I would love it if you guys went to check it out because it's actually my favorite tea. I just discovered it not that long ago, but I love it. There's a Sacred Kiss in case you're short on kisses. There is the Bombshell in case you're short on bombshells. So go get yourself a Bombshell or a Sweeter Ting or a Sacred Kiss, but I highly, highly recommend it. Also, I'm ready. I have my guard up because I know that people are probably going to come for me because I'm the queen of grammar and spelling. I am aware that conversate is not a word, so don't come for me. It was really just something that rhymed with 818. It's 2021, and I am well aware that Bootylicious made it into the dictionary, so why can't I use words that are not proper grammar? Here I go, already messing up the vocabulary. But what were you saying?
It's 2021.
It's 2021. We can do what we want. I can make up words. I could use words that are slang. The Urban Dictionary is a real thing now, so we're going to ride with it. Let's get started. Let's not wait any longer. This is the first episode, and as I said in my intro, it's going to be like a car ride filled with adventure with your favorite people. And I have one of my favorite people with me today riding shotgun in the whip. And I'm going to have him introduce himself. But I just wanted to say I hope you guys stick through this journey with us because it's going to be a bit of a bumpy ride. So introduce yourself.
Well, I'm the main Sweeter Ting.
He's the main Sweeter Ting.
But yeah, I'm Keith from nohustlenolife.com. And
he's my Sweeter Ting.
I'm the Sweeter Ting. And I'm honored to, be riding shotgun with nobody else but you. So
thank you.
With you guys that want to share this ride with her as well. So yeah.
Yeah, you guys are in the ride. It's a big ass whip. We got lots of seats. So you know what? Let's jump into the first episode. Given that this is episode number 1 and it's a completely new start for me. I've never recorded my own podcast or anything really along this nature, but I've been a guest on a few, and I thought what better topic to discuss than new beginnings and fresh starts. 2021 has been a really interesting ride, so dove into some of my own fresh starts, and you did too. We're going to get into them, but new beginnings are really interesting because they can be considered a blessing or a curse depending on how you look at them. They could be filled with new joys or new endings, sometimes abrupt endings that we didn't really expect or want or choose. I mean, I don't know. What's an example of one of those for you? Probably getting laid off. That would be an example of one that we didn't want. The wrong time, getting laid off. Breakups. Or even losing someone, a death of someone that is close to you that you didn't expect, you didn't ask for, prepare for. They happen without your permission. So this podcast, this episode specifically was really inspired by that because I wanted to talk about, this year being especially one where people had to dive into a lot of new beginnings and fresh starts.
Facts.
And
Big facts.
I read a quote somewhere that said, "This is the beginning and almost anything could happen." There was a lot more to the quote. I will not quote the whole thing, but that was the piece that specifically stood out to me, and I picked it and I chose it to mention to you guys because change can be very overwhelming. New beginnings, fresh starts, they can be invigorating, but they can also be very challenging and
Yep.
difficult. Not knowing where exactly to start could be part of the challenge.
Yep.
There's this big blank space, this big open canvas, plain canvas that literally is asking for you to draw the map or paint the picture and figure it out. So that unpredictability can be very overwhelming. I'm sure that's something you're familiar with.
Well, that's the good thing about it. That's the great thing about it, that because it's like a blank canvas of a picture that you can paint. The picture can be whatever you want it to be, and which is going to be your ultimate happiness, right?
Yeah, it's funny because hearing you say that, it's like when you sit down to write a book. For anyone who's ever tried to do that, I know I've attempted it a couple times, but you sit down to write a book and there's literally a blank screen staring at you to write a story. Whatever that story is going to be, you get to decide. But when it comes to your life, it's exactly the same experience. You have to write what the next step is. There's new chapters, there's new endeavors, there's new starts.
Well, here's the thing: you have to be able to believe that, like, and that's the hard part for a lot of people. If you don't believe that something like that can happen just by you, like, actually, like, painting your own picture, then it won't happen.
Yeah, and it's all about, I mean, you're huge on it, and I try to emulate that, but you're so big on manifesting everything that you want for yourself. So when you have this blank canvas in front of you, when you have this blank screen in front of you, and or a blank notebook, you're really writing your own story and really painting your own picture, and that's how you manifest what you want for yourself. So that really comes to, the next kind of question, like, or not question, but focus, that new beginnings can be filled with scary ass shit, or they can be filled with things that are amazing, and anything can literally happen. You just have to dive in and figure it out. So I have you here with me today, and I would love to hear for you something that's a fresh start that you kind of encountered in the last little while, and what that blank canvas feeling felt like for you in regards to that fresh start.
Well, I transferred from, a background. I'm in fintech and I trade, and it's nothing that I'm used to. It's computer language with mathematics and stuff like that.
It's a language that I am not familiar
Yeah, a
with.
lot of people are not. And at one point during my transition, like, of this new beginning, like, there's people, sometimes you even doubt yourself, but you can't. And there's people who are around you who are doubting you because they're looking at you because you made this change so late in your life. It's like, what do you think you're doing? Like this, you have responsibilities that you need to take care of, and these things take precedence, and sometimes you have to believe within yourself. And like I've always say to everybody around me, we have to stop believing. We have to know. You have to know that this is what the outcome is going to be.
So it's not just like I'm big on the word hope because my name means it, but you're not just hoping, you actually have to have faith and execution. It's not just about like believing that something will happen or like trusting that will happen. You have to make it happen.
You have
execute
to,
it.
yeah, you have to make it happen. You've got to execute it. You've actually got to do it. Like you've
You
got
have to choose that new beginning.
that new beginning. You have to step off the porch and step on the air and believe, like literally, like. And I think that's what, like, even the story about like Jesus, like, when they say that he walked on the water, like he believed so much that he can do this as a man, And I think that's the bigger picture that people need to take out of that story, that anything is possible, even if that you don't believe that may physically happen. Even like when you go to movies and it's like, you'll watch this movie and I know it happens to me sometimes. It's like, why can't this happen to me? So if the movie's saying it, we're talking about the Bible, which is something like, I'm not saying everybody's big on religion, but it's something that a lot of people follow. But if the Bible's saying that anything's possible, then you got to believe anything's possible. Anything is
make it happen.
And you make it go, make it happen.
So when it comes to this world of trading that you kind of dived into, how did that blank canvas feeling feel for you? Because I know I watched you dive into that world and start from scratch. And I remember that, you had some highs when it felt like you were like nailing everything and really getting it. And then there were lows where it was like you started second guessing yourself. You started, second guessing if you were understanding exactly what you're doing or if you were just doing things on a whim. So, what did it feel like for you? Because watching it, it felt like you kept challenging yourself and going back to the drawing board and doing it again. But I don't know what it felt like internally for you to have this blank canvas in front of you and starting from scratch and trying to figure out a new chapter.
Well, the amazing part in that transition is that what I transitioned into, that new beginning, was me. Like, it was always me. So, but
What do you mean by that?
meaning that, like, this new beginning was a beginning that was supposed to happen for me years ago.
Okay.
But because of my decisions, I was living in a cycle that I couldn't get out of, right?
Okay.
Because based on poor decisions in my life. So, when I got into that new beginning, it was like I was supposed to be there, but yet I still had to learn. You know what I mean? Because it's a new beginning. So it was very scary because it's a new territory. Like, I knew nothing about it. Like, I was completely in the dark with what I was learning.
But you felt like you were supposed to be
I
there.
felt like I was supposed to be there, and because I felt like I was supposed to be there, the learning process for me was expected, but it was just kind of like the people around me. I was kind of expecting them to believe in me, and but like I said, you have to get rid of that thought process because now it's about you, And but yeah, it was scary, but I knew, and because I knew, the process was enjoyable for me.
Interesting. Well, I had my fresh start, specifically similar to that story, is this podcast, and you've watched the whole process as it's kind of
hmm
come to fruition. And I've had a few friends, riding in the background, really supporting me and encouraging me. But to be frank, have said to me like, now that it's actually happening and I'm putting it out there, they applaud it because they truthfully thought maybe she's just throwing this idea out there and she won't actually execute it. It's a great idea. It sounds fun.
Not around
But
me.
is she actually going to execute it? Well, he's saying not around him. Truthfully, this podcast took a really long time to come to light. And the idea, I think, started, I want to say December, but maybe even before then. I had the idea in my head. I didn't really share it with a lot of people. And I thought to myself, December, I'm either going to put it out the end of the year or the first thing for the beginning of the new year. New year, new me, new podcast, new Nadine. And then January came and that didn't happen. New Year's passed and that didn't happen.
Happens.
And I decided, you know what? I didn't really want to start it on the 18th of the month. My branding is 818. I own a business, 818 Events, in case you don't already know. My birthday is August 18th, so that's where the 818 comes from. But, the numbers 8 and 1 really resonate with me. So it's kind of always been my brand and my thing. And I decided that the 8th and the 18th of every month was going to be a significant day for me to put out these podcasts. Whatever the podcast came to be, that was going to be the plan. So I had said, you know what? I missed January. Let's skip the 18th. Let's go for February 8th. February 8th will be some promo, and I'll drop like first episode February 18th, which is actually the anniversary of my mom's passing. And I figured, that's a really special day to me. I want to make that day, be filled with memories of my mom, but also something that I'm super passionate about. And then, life happens, and I think I was overwhelmed and still just didn't feel quite ready. And
that happened.
that passed. So he's here like that happens. But here's what actually happened. He was like hustling every day with his ambition, head down, learning a new skill all the time, staying up super late or waking up super early, and so focused on the things he was passionate about that it really inspired me. It was a reality check on like, when am I going to actually make this podcast happen? So I brainstormed the hell out of this thing. Like, what did I want it to feel like? What did I want it to sound like? I'm still not sure it's exactly where it should be, but it's definitely going to grow over time. But it feels like me. I brainstormed. I started practicing recording. And if anyone has ever done this, they know hearing yourself recorded or in headphones or just hearing your own voice can be very intimidating a little bit. So I practiced. I asked people who I know that are, you know, in the radio industry for advice, and studio people for advice. And I started to accumulate all the equipment that I needed, thinking good mic, good recording stuff, I'll be good to go. Still never made it happen. Came up with the show name, 818 and Conversate, and we already talked about how that kind of came to be. The word conversate, it rolls off the tongue with the 818, so we went with it. But I had the show name. We went through a lot of options, and I settled on that. And one day he came home with this audio box and literally said, like, this is going to happen.
Here's the push.
Yeah, here's the push. This is going to happen. I'm going to show you how to do this. You're going to have it sound the way that you want it to sound so that you're happy with the outcome. And I don't know, all the feelings of procrastination really turned into the thought that I wasn't actually procrastinating. I was really disappointed in myself. I felt like I was procrastinating. That fear was there, but it turned into understanding more about patience, preparing, and practice. And I realized that I wasn't about to put anything out there that didn't feel like me or I didn't think would represent me in the best way, or truly wasn't what I wanted it to be.
Well, here's the thing that I believe, that on your way to, you know, elevation, you have to put yourself in that area for it to happen. So it doesn't necessarily mean that, like, you know, you've got all the pieces together now, boom, it's supposed to happen. It happens in steps. It happens
at the right time. We're very big on believing that timing is everything.
And you have to, like I say, prepare yourself for that moment to happen, right? But how do you prepare? Well, you go grab this, and you go grab this, and you go learn this, and you go learn this, and you find out this. Like, even before prepping for the show, like, certain things happen. But guess what? Because we have experience in other areas of the industry, we know that certain things could possibly happen. So we knew going into this, or going into this, that, you know what, I have to have certain things.
Yeah, or something could go wrong.
Something could go wrong, right? Yeah. So it's not necessarily, I don't think with you it was necessarily procrastination. I think it was just that you were wanting to prepare this and wanting it to be so right that you were making sure that you're taking the right steps. And I like I said, I watched you grow with it. I watched you curate this, nurse this.
That's my favorite word, curate.
Right? Yeah, that's why I used it. Right? And I've watched what you did with it, and I think that you've taken all the right steps in getting to this point here. And you just needed, like, you know, what any man should do for their woman, or any man or any person should do for another person that has a belief
Passion.
in himself. You know what I mean? About doing something. Like, you should encourage that person beside you that's willing to step out in the dark, that's willing to take that risk, to take that chance, and say, well, this is what I'm gonna go do. You know what I mean? Are you with me? Well, here's how I'm showing you that I'm with you here. You know what I mean? And that's what's happened to me as well. So why wouldn't I do that for one of the people closest to me, to show them that I believe in what they're doing, and I know that they're gonna excel faster than myself, right?
Oh, thanks for that vote of confidence. You know what? It really did come down to the purpose and the vision. And like I said, I had to remove the idea that I was procrastinating, because I started to believe that that's what was happening, until I realized it was really about planning the vision, editing it, getting everything to feel exactly like I wanted my brand to feel. I mean, when I started my business, 818 Events, I did the same thing. I took a long time. It was a new chapter for me. It was a new beginning. It was going to be a stamp on my name for who I am and what I do. And I took a long time before I put it out there, because I wanted it to be exactly what I went to a workshop years ago, a business workshop, and they talked about like your brand should have a scent, a feeling. What does it sound like? What does it taste like? And obviously, those are like, it's an analogy kind of
Yeah.
for what your brand looks like or feels like. But the same applied here. What is this podcast going to feel like? What's it going to feel like now versus 6 months from now or a year from now? But I had to plan exactly what the vision was for this to get off the ground, and it took all of that
It-
preparing to get here.
of
So
course.
here we are, and I'm so excited that this is what's happening. This is what's happening right now. But I'm looking forward to it growing. Thanks, babe. I'm looking forward to it growing. So, I mean, we've both had a lot of new starts in the last like year or so. What would you say is another one? Like, you just celebrated your birthday, and I know that for me a birthday is kind of like the dawn of a new day for me. It's a new chapter, a new beginning. So what would you say is another fresh start that you've gone through recently, and like that same blank canvas feeling?
Well, we're a fresh start.
We're a fresh start. We are a fresh start.
And at that before we started, like, I kind of expressed to you like what the kind of situation that I was coming out of, and I even said at one point like I wouldn't even know how to be this type of person to you. Like I didn't know, because I didn't know myself at the time.
Yeah.
So
We had both come out of probably not healthy relationships.
yeah, and like I said, like it took me learning myself. It took me peeling back things layers that I've built
Built up.
over the years, to get back to who I am, who I truly am, in order to know that you want to love somebody and give them who you are, like the true you. Back then I wouldn't have been giving you who I am. I would have been giving you who I didn't want to give you. So yeah, this was another one. Our relationship, the starting of our relationship, I would say would be like it would have been like a blank canvas where I had to create a picture. I had to create what I hope I want this to be going.
You wanted it to be in some time
in
when you
some
felt
time.
like you were ready.
Yeah, like the big thing that I'm on that I like saying to myself is and to everybody around me is you want to finish like you start, and you don't want to start off a relationship and it's hard to keep up that consistency. You go through things, you feel things, you're mad, you hate each other. Like there's feelings that people feel that think that you don't go through in relationships that I think that these things are healthy. I think that at some point you should dislike your partner because and only for this reason. Only
great.
no, only for
No,
this
I
reason.
get it, I get it.
And the dislike that I'm talking about is just like like
Learning things that are challenges between
right.
the two of
And
you. Yeah,
you're
I
learning
agree.
to like these things. These likes, you have to learn to like these things and actually turn these things into. Because if you really think about it, these
You guys
things
can
that
hear
you,
me gulping on my electric tea, by the way.
that damn sweeter man.
Sweet ting,
But yeah,
sweeter ting.
But yeah, those
are
things
things you
that
go
you,
through.
these things that you disliked that you dislike now, if you really think about it, you probably liked it before. Like that
Oh, you
bad,
mean in a past relationship,
well,
you
not even-
probably
not
liked
even,
it?
like, sometimes like you'll meet with somebody in the beginning and it's like they have this bad attitude. You know what I mean? You know how we all want this bad bitch. You know what I mean?
Definitely not.
And then and it's like, yeah, man, I got this baddie. And then afterwards, now 2 years, 3 years down the line, like, yo, man,
She's actually just a bitch.
you know what I mean? Like, well, that's what you got. That's what you wanted,
my
right?
goodness.
So that's what it was for me. But I didn't want to be the person who I built to myself up over the years. So yeah, I had to start
You
again.
had to peel back the layers. Well, a little like side history here. We actually knew each other almost 20 years ago. We went to high school together and we reconnected like about a year and a half ago, and it took a long time before our relationship developed to another phase or another chapter, a new beginning, before it became official. It was about a year before it became official. We just grew and got to know each other, and yeah, it was a new beginning for both of us. And I had to, on the flip side of what he was saying about peeling back layers and all of that stuff, I had to sit back and watch, and that was a new beginning and a fresh start for me, because it actually was something that I wasn't used to. I was very used to that
Scary
quick
territory.
relationship beginning. And yeah, it was a scary territory to be in. Like, did I want to stay there for that? Or do I want to, you know, am I patient enough to figure it out if it's worth it? Am I wasting time? You know? So that was it was a whole fresh start, a new beginning for us. Something else I think that you've been a part of as another fresh start for me was moving. I moved into a new place, and, you know, that was an interesting new beginning. And also, we have shared this pandemic experience, but truthfully, for, you know, the last year, everybody has had this fresh new beginning that they did not choose, probably did not want, and has been overwhelming, because not only was the first wave of this new beginning or fresh start something that we didn't expect, this pandemic and quarantining and social distancing and all of this stuff, but then we had to also start another new beginning in the midst of it, changing how we worked, whether we had a job still, working from home, being distanced from our loved ones, or being stuck in the house. There was new beginnings literally happening every single day throughout this pandemic. And it's still happening, because every time we get a new bit of information from the media about what's happening next, whether it's vaccines or, you know, returning back to work, or the world being Canada, opening back up again, you know, that's a new beginning. Every time we start again, it's a new beginning.
Well, another new beginning for me, because we're talking about the pandemic, is like, it forced me to be alone and having to, you know, elevate my skills. Like, I didn't waste time with this pandemic.
No.
At all. Like,
for us, I don't think we didn't take this as an L. We definitely turned this like experience into a growth
to who I want to be, who I expect to be, and it allowed me to see, like, you know, what the world was, and even for me, for myself, like, I've watched you do like be guests on other shows, and you guys talk about this thing called the table, you know, and that's exactly what I built in this pandemic. Like, I built my own little table, and it's not a little table, it's a big table.
It's a big ass dining table.
Yeah, and at this table, the people who I think that should eat. You know what I mean? And I know I've said this to you, like, and this is one thing I want your listeners to know, is like, yo, somebody can invite you to their house, but it doesn't mean you're sitting at their table. And that's what I had to recognize, and that was actually a major element in my change. Like, that was one of the major reasons why it's just so crazy that months or weeks before I said, Nads, I was like, you know, this is what I want to do. Boom, the pandemic happened.
It's true. Literally, probably 10 days later.
Yeah, and what did that do? It forced me to make the change. It was either you made this change or you fall victim, and I will never fall victim.
No, he literally took. I want to say that I did as well, but probably at a much slower pace. He took this transition and started to flourish in so many other ways, and it was crazy, the timing of it all. His birthday was just before this pandemic really escalated, and it all was just this new wave. So that actually brings me to what I was talking about before. You know, for me, birthdays are kind of this new beginning, new chapter. I consider it like the new season of like the show called My Life. I have like a new cast, maybe. Sometimes a new cast, not always, but a new plot, a new storyline. You know, there's maybe new scenery, for example, my new place. But I guess the first question is, do you think people put a lot of pressure on themselves to, you know, with that annual like fresh start, new beginning,
like a New Year's? Or
yeah, and then again, that's it's for me. The new year is actually my birthday. I consider that like my new year, my new like. What is it when a balloon? What is it when a butterfly comes out of a cocoon? It's like, I don't know. I forgot the term. Sorry, guys.
I have an excuse.
But I don't even know why I use the reference if I don't know the name. But anyways, for me, that's my birthday. My birthday is like my New Year's Eve. But for other people, New Year's Eve is like the start of a new year for them, a new beginning for them, a fresh start for them. There's a lot of pressure for you know, like what's happening next and resolutions and changes. So like,
I think with regards to like even the New Year thing, like New Year's resolutions, I think that theology, it back a couple years ago, it would have probably been, yeah, you know, everybody's big on the resolution thing, but now I think people are just trying to get to the year. Like I have so many friends that just say like, I just want to get through this year. Like
God, I know we're just like rushing away
yeah,
time.
like,
I don't
yeah,
want to rush
and
away time.
especially last year, it's just like, okay, we want to get out because of what's going on right now. It's just like, okay, you guys say this is gonna end in 2 years. Okay, I just want to get past this 2 years. You know what I mean?
So whether it's your birthday or New Year's, it's basically like you have this there's a day or a specific timeline that you pick as like your kind of your kickoff for your new beginning.
It's on you. I think it's.
I feel like it's funny because I feel like nobody just randomly goes like every February this will be my new start.
No, I believe that every day is a new start. Every day
This is true.
Every day is a new chance for you. Every day that you're living is a new chance for you to go and change your life. I used to go to Trebis, and I remember the teacher saying to the class, "You are actually like 2 or 3 people away from Jay-Z."
2 or 3 people away from like 6 degrees of separation type of away. Okay.
Because, like if you thought hard enough, all you would actually have to do is get in contact with somebody you know that's possibly close to Jay-Z, the closest, and I'm sure that you know people.
Yeah, of course.
Right, exactly. And all it takes is for them to say, okay, you know what? Maybe I'll get you in through this person, and that person will get you a step closer to Jay-Z.
So where are you going with this? I'm curious. Why are we talking about Jay-Z? Is this why you wake up every day? Is this what you're saying? You want to meet Jay-Z?
No. I'm saying this because you have a chance to shoot at this every day.
Oh, so whatever you're aiming at, there is an opportunity. There's always a window of opportunity. That's where you're going.
Basically, yeah.
So every day is like a new beginning for you. I got you.
Facts.
I wouldn't say I'm as ambitious as that. But I definitely believe that timing is everything. There is always a window of opportunity, and the only person that can make that next move is you. Nobody can do it for you. But I also believe that change is good. If we start somewhere and we do our best, that's better than doing nothing, because we don't want to become stagnant.
No.
Being stagnant means that you're stuck in one place. And I also truly believe that you shouldn't keep people around you that are stagnant, because that will hold you back as well. But everything that we envision, you should want to come to fruition. And part of why I want things to come to fruition is not just because it brings me joy, but it brings the people around me joy. And, you know, you talked about the lovely Natasha and I in our IGTV episode that we did, and we were talking about like the table and who we bring to the table and who's not allowed at the table and who gets to eat there and all of those things. But you know, our choices that we make for our new beginnings and our fresh starts, those choices really also reflect not only on us, but the people that are around us. And that's what you were talking about in terms of like, you know, feeding everybody at your table. And if those people are stagnant, you don't want to feed them. You don't even want them at your table. You're not inviting them, because then they're just complacent, and you don't want to be complacent, nor do you want people around you who are complacent. They won't elevate you.
In growth, you don't need nobody complacent around you. If everybody, anytime you're growing, you want people to grow with you. That's the whole reason why you brought them around you. You have to be around people that want to be like you, like-minded people like you, dreamers like you, dream chasers like you.
You remind me of that quote. You just reminded me of that quote that if you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Like you need to keep.
You don't want to be the smartest person in the room.
You need to keep elevating. You need to keep growing. You need to keep flourishing. So I challenge you guys listening, watching. Think about what fresh start you can take that will actually spark joy in your life and in the people around you's life, the people who are most important to you. What can you do for yourself that's a new beginning, a fresh start that will actually spark joy for you and those people? You know, March 20th is literally a couple days away, and that is the first day of spring. Thank God spring is coming. That means summer's coming.
I'm reaching.
Yeah, you're reaching a little bit, but spring is followed by summer. And here in Canada, it is much needed. So we are looking forward to spring, but spring is like renewal, you know, like fresh starts, renewal, plants grow, trees start to flourish, and
gone.
Yeah, snow is gone. So just quickly, I have a funny story about our fresh start here in this new place. Um, hopefully you guys find it funny, but we moved in, and for like the first 2 nights it was quiet, and I was so happy because the last place I lived, the people upstairs were so noisy. I don't know if they owned a indoor gym or they just like to party, who knows, but I was so happy. It was silent when we got here. Couple nights in, great sleeps. I think by like the third night, I started hearing this like thumping sound at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. It woke me dead ass out of my sleep. And I woke him up to be like, what is that sound? Are they having sex? I assumed the person above me was having sex. So the next night, same thing. I did the old school bang on the ceiling with the broom. Didn't work. And I couldn't quite figure out like what was going on. And eventually he was awake because he's a pretty heavy sleeper. So eventually he was awake to hear the sound. And he was like, babe, you were not confident that it was sex. I was so confident that it was sex. And I was like, if I have to, he was saying there was no rhythm. It was like too intense of a rhythm in my mind. I started to believe that if this was going to continue, I was going to take my ass upstairs and be like, please stop having sex. I don't want to interrupt it, but please stop having sex at 3 and 4 in the morning because it's waking me up out of my sleep. But like, who wants to be that person? So I was also like considering writing an anonymous note. But then I was like, there's security cameras, so it just didn't happen. After nights of this happening, I was like, Jesus Christ, don't these people have sex at like appropriate hours, or is it only at 3, 4, and 5 o'clock in the morning?
Well, when do you want to have sex?
That's not a question I'm willing to answer right now. But I was like more concerned about my sleep than their sex, okay? So anyways, long story short, one day I finally heard the sound. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning. I went outside. I crossed the parking area as far as I could to see the person above me. They were on their balcony skipping.
Some heavy skipping.
Like thumping, skipping. And like profusely like doing lunges. Like she was hardcore. So it was a she, and she was hardcore, and she was not having sex apparently. She was skipping on her balcony, which she thought was appropriate. So
like I said,
long story short, I told security about this skipping situation. They went up there. They actually thought she was skipping inside. She ended up arguing with security, pissed off that she can't work out. But in my mind, I was like, if you're skipping on the balcony, I mean, I could see her argument if she was skipping inside. But if you're skipping on the balcony, that means you're already outside, which means it's warm enough to be outside, which means like go downstairs to the...
Yeah, but I think even at one point she was outside in the winter time.
Honestly, I don't even know, but like go skip in the parking garage. Go skip on like in the road. I don't care, but like why are you skipping on the balcony at 3 in the morning? That's psycho. So that was my fresh start in this lovely new place, and it was just ironic because we went from like one noisy upstairs neighbor to another one. And to be honest, I'm surprised that we haven't heard like a thud.
How's it now?
It's better. She works out at like 8 o'clock now instead of 3.
The moral of the story is in the fresh start, it might get
fresh starts might start. Yeah, so fresh starts start rough, like this podcast might. But the journey will be interesting, and hopefully it gets better and less bumpy.
Now we laugh
it's
at
funny.
Yeah.
Yep. He's right. So
can I tell them where they can reach me at?
Not yet. I want to play a game with you quickly.
Okay, go.
Okay, so we're gonna quickly, like any good road trip, there needs to be a game. So I came up with,
hustle, you know?
Yeah, it's all about his hustle. Let's hustle through these questions. It's called this or that, or like would you rather, and any road trip has a good card game to pass the time. So you have to answer them really quickly, but don't think too hard about it. I just want you to answer. Okay?
Okay.
All right. New car or new job?
A new job.
What? Go back 100 years or go forward 100 years?
Go back.
100 years? That could be very dangerous. Excuse me. Okay, I feel like I already know the answer to this one because I make you breakfast every day. A massage with peanut butter or a massage with maple syrup?
Scissor. Scissor.
He loves syrup. He puts it on the whole plate.
Scissor.
Okay. Always be 10 minutes late or always be 20 minutes early?
20 minutes early.
Yeah, I'm the 10 minutes late person. He's always early. Okay. Would you rather have what you're always thinking visible for everyone to see, like floating above your head, or would you have everything that you do every day, all day, live streamed?
Live stream.
You heard it here first. So if I tell him that I want to start a vlog, and basically like an episode of Big Brother. He's down. He's down.
I'm doing this.
You guys are my witness. Okay. Would you rather never be stuck in traffic again or never get sick ever again?
Never be in traffic ever again.
Okay. So you don't mind getting sick. Cool. Stay away from me. Okay. This one's an interesting one because you wear both every day, all day. Would you rather never wear pants or would you rather never wear shorts? He literally wears 2 pairs of pants and a pair of shorts every day. Which one could you live without?
I could live without shorts.
So he'll just wear 3 pairs of pants. Last question. Question number 8. You know, everything 8 or 818 or 18. Would you rather live in a cabin in the woods? I feel like I know the answer to this. Or live on a beach?
Cabin in the woods.
As long as there's a lake nearby, he can fish.
Yeah, just as long as I can fish.
I'd rather live on the beach. So I'll meet you somewhere in between.
I'm a loner.
He is a loner. All right, guys. This is crazy that we've gotten to the end, but we are at the end of episode number 1. We made it through the first episode. Thanks for joining me. I guess this conversation could go on forever from the sounds of it, so we'll probably pick it back up on another episode. He will be riding shotgun quite often. I will have amazing other passengers, but he's likely going to always be around. He's out here shooting. He's out here shouting out 818. So I just want to close with this statement that new beginnings, they do not mean that you're starting from scratch. They do not mean that you're starting with nothing. You know, you have experience, you have insight, you have the knowledge that you have accumulated. And to be honest, if you're interested in something or intrigued by something, then you already have the tools to begin. So there's a quote that I love. It's start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. And with that being said, please, my passenger, my lovely co-host, would you let everybody know my sweeter ting? Yeah, just to remind you guys, electric tea. I've been drinking it this whole time. I know I'm talking a lot, so I'm not drinking enough, but every time I drink, I gulp it. So I took a break. But please let everybody know where they can find you and check up on you.
NoHustleNoLife.com. Want to learn Forex, want to learn how to trade, want to learn about investments, want to learn about fintech. NoHustleNoLife.com.
If you guys made it this far, I appreciate you for listening. There will be more episodes, and I would love your feedback, of course. The episodes will always be dropping on the 8th and the 18th of every month in true 818 fashion, and they will be dropping at 8:18 p.m. So please follow 818 and Conversate on Instagram. He's killing me with these hand gestures. You should be a cheerleader. Follow 818 and Conversate on Instagram. Episodes will be on YouTube, but especially they will be on SoundCloud. So please search on those platforms. And, you know, considering I am in the business of weddings and events, fresh starts are kind of what I do. You know, every wedding is basically someone's new chapter, new beginning, and fresh start. So this was a really important topic for me. This podcast was a fresh start for me. So I really appreciate you guys joining, and I really appreciate you being here as my co-host. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll be back with a second episode soon.